Hello everybody, greetings from Mexico. Hola, muy buenos días. Rápidamente comento que será en inglés esta plática debido a que es un evento internacional del evento de Terra Madre de Slow Food. I was explaining that this event is going to be in English for our followers in Mexico. And my name is Alfonso Rocha. I'm the International Counselor of Mexico and Central America. Greetings from the millenary city of Cholula, where the office of Slow Food Mexico began around 7 years ago. I am also the international counselor, besides the director of the Mexican office, which is currently moving to the Pacific coast of Oaxaca in the city of Huatulco, so I hope to see you there. I am very happy and honored to be hosting this event, since it was unthinkable 9 years ago to have a second book of the Mexican Arc of Taste. When I joined Slow Food as a culinary student, there were only 17 products in the Arc of Taste. And I'm very happy that this is the reason, this is the first book, and this fermented indigenous drink, tlachique, which is not very known in Mexico, was the reason why I joined Slow Food, to preserve it, to promote it. And I'm very thankful for the trust and the guidance that we have received from Carlo Petrini, Paolo Di Croce, and also the headquarters in Bra, particularly from Andrea Mato. With their help, we opened the local office in 2014. And from there, we saw how an exponential growth of the Mexican Slow Food Network. This book is an example of how a Terra Madre Slow Food Network can collaborate together to preserve and promote regional biodiversity. This book is made thanks to the participation of volunteers, students, farmers, indigenous people, and academics. This book is also an example of how the slow food communities can come together to interact and promote good, clean, and fair food. For people that are not aware, the Arc of Taste is a living catalog created by Slow Food in 1996 of delicious, some people call it's a sexy catalog of delicious and distinctive foods that are facing extinction. So by identifying and championing these foods, we keep them in production in our plates. Agriculture, biodiversity, and small-scale, family-based food production systems are in danger throughout the world due to the industrialization of food. Also, there's genetic erosion, where foods are disappearing, changing consumption patterns, climate change, and the abandonment of rural areas, migration, and conflict. So the Arc of Taste invites everybody to take action. In some cases, products need to be rediscovered and put back on the plate to be preserved. And producers need to be supported, and we need to tell their stories. In other cases, there are products that are endangered wild species, so it would be better to stop eating less or none of them in order to preserve them and favor their productions. Since 1996, more than 5,500 products from over 150 countries have been added to this international Arc of Taste. Over 130 of these foods are from Mexico. We are always seeking for more edible and treasures to include, and anyone can participate. So this Slow Food Biodiversity Program of the Arc of Taste is not just a catalog. It is an important tool to ensure our survival as a human species. Especially now with this pandemic, we have noticed the importance in consuming food that is good for us and good for the environment. Let's forget for now the idea of saving the planet. During the quarantine, we saw how biodiversity began to flourish. We saw the dolphins going back in Florence, here in the coast of Mexico, in Oaxaca. Fishermen told me that the coral reefs that are dying, in just 3 months of quarantine, they started to get green and they were reborn. So the planet will not go anywhere. We are going to disappear as a human species if we don't save our ecosystem that provides us food, and the Arc of Taste is a tool for present and future human resiliency. So thank you again for being here, and I would like to present the next speaker, which will be Dauro Soki. He's the professor and he's the international coordinator of the Arc of Taste for the for UNISC, which is the University of Gastronomic Science in Polenzo, in Italy. So thank you again. I would like to introduce Dauro.
Thank you, Alfonso. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank you, the University of Puebla, for hosting this event. I'm very glad to be part of this team and to be involved in this important project, which is the Arc of Taste of Mexico. My name is Dauro Mattiazzocchi. I'm a research fellow at the University of Gastronomic Science, and I'm also the coordinator for the Arc of Taste Atlases project, which is the umbrella project under which this book has been developed. Next, please. So today I would like to briefly introduce the University of Gastronomic Science and give you some general information about the role our university has in the Arc of Taste project. So the University of Gastronomic Science of Pollenzo was founded by the Slow Food movement in 2004 in the northern part of Italy, specifically in the Piedmont region. And it was and still is one of the first university that is entirely dedicated to the study of food and gastronomy. And it focuses on this issue starting from the assumption that food is a complex object to tackle. So in this sense, if we want to address and we want to study food, we need to adopt an holistic approach that combine together different disciplines, both from the natural and the social sciences, as well as practical learning. So starting from this point, our university, the main goal of our university is to create an international research and education center for all those people, all those stakeholders involved in the food and gastronomic sector, with the aim of developing alternative and innovative way to tackle issues such as food sovereignty, sustainability of the food system, and also the safeguard and promotion of food and cultural diversity. Next, please. So our university is an international university. Since the 2004, we train gastronomers that are the food professional of the future, that are capable to shape and to drive the food system toward more sustainable models. We have trained people from all over the world, from 88 different countries, and to the date we have trained almost 3,000 students. Next, please. As I said before, our university is, since the beginning, our university has been committed to the safeguard and promotion of food and gastronomic diversity. And in this sense, it has designed several projects and initiatives that aim at safeguarding and promoting this important heritage. And among them, it is the Arc of Taste. Alfonso has already explained what is the Arc of Taste, and I will give you some more information about the role of our university. Next, please. Just to make it clearer, as Alfonso said, the Arc of Taste is a living catalog of forgotten and endangered food, and the main aim of the Slow Food and also of our university is to give visibility to this product, to shed light on the different dynamics that are negatively affecting the conservation of this important heritage, and also to set up the condition in order to counteract the loss of this important resource that is food and cultural diversity. Next, please. So basically, since the 2015, our university started a collaboration with Slow Food, aim at giving more visibility and giving new impetus to the project. And since this time, our university started included the Arc of Taste in different activities, in teaching activities, in research, as well as in the other activities that are carried out by our university. In this sense, our students are directly involved in all the activities aimed at documenting products for the Arc of Taste, but also the scholars, the professor and the research fellow have been involved in different projects aimed at developing innovative tools to give more visibility to the Arc of Taste and to create network between the different stakeholders of the foodscape. Next, please. So among the different projects, there is the Arc of Taste Atlases, which is basically a series of books about the gastronomic heritage, the food and gastronomic heritage that the Arc of Taste aims to safeguard and to promote. To the date, we have published 5 books, mostly about developing countries. We started with Peru, and later on we published 4 more books about Brazil, Kenya, Mexico, and lastly Albania. But we are currently working on many other books, both in Latin America but also in Europe. And obviously the book that we are presenting right now is part of this series. Next, please. So basically what the Arc of Taste atlases are not just books, they are a living tool that can be useful to create a connection and relation between the different stakeholders of the food system, and also to foster a new understanding of what is gastronomy and what can be the role in gastronomy in shaping the food system toward more sustainable models. And in particular, this tool can be used by different stakeholders, both from chef, from producer, and from other actors of the local foodscape, in order to change and to raise awareness about the role that biodiversity, and in particular food biodiversity, should have in our life. And in this sense, the collaboration that we made with the 2 universities of UPAEP and the University of Querétaro had the purposes of, let's say, giving more visibility to the Arc of Taste in Mexico. We started this collaboration in 2017, and in 2018 we published the first book about the gastronomic heritage of Mexico. And this second book is the outcome of this fruitful collaboration, and it aims at digging into the diversity of food, gastronomy, the biological, gastronomic, and cultural diversity of all the regions of Mexico. And we started from the Altiplano and Centro region, but we hope in the future to cover all the magnificence and richness of the gastronomic diversity of Kenya. Thank you a lot for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dauro. And I would like to invite everybody to search for the University of Gastronomic Science. I've met many students. The last thing they learn is cooking. First, they have to learn everything that talks about the food, the history, the chemistry, the cultural, the anthropological, everything, physics, geography. So it was very important to be backed up by UNISC University for this book. And now I would like to present the 2 main authors of this book and the former book. First, we're going to start with a PhD in botany, Doctora Guadalupe Malda Xochitl. She's from the Autonomous University of Querétaro. So thank you, doctor, for being here and forming part of this project.
Thank you. Good morning to everyone. Buonasera in Italia. Well, the book we are presenting now is focused, as Dauro told, on this area that you can see in the photograph. Next, please. Well, first, I want to talk about diversity as a result of the presence of important landscape variations that leads to 3 different physiographic provinces that you can see there: the Central Plateau, the Trans-Mexican Volcanic Belt, and the southwest of the Sierra Madre Oriental. In those places, we can find 3 different ecological regions, which are very different, each one from another: the arid shrublands, the deciduous forest, and the temperate forest. In such a diversity of environments, there is a great biological diversity, which combines and also feeds back to cultural diversity. As a result, we have many different ways to produce, to obtain, to process, to eat, and to taste food. Next, please. An overview of biodiversity in Mexico indicates that almost 15% of the world's terrestrial species are in our country, and between 2,500 to 4,000 are plant historically used as food. Same with the numbers you can see for fungus and insects. Besides, at least 100 crops, not only for food, but for fibers and so on, are from Mexico. And their biodiversity increases if we saw all the varieties and wild relatives that are distributed in our country. Next, please. Now, considering the central region, it turns out that the Trans-Mexican Volcanic Province is one of the 3 regions in Mexico with the largest number of wild ancestors and relatives of Mesoamerican crops. Here you can see an example. Yes, here you can see an example of wild relative in the next slide, please. You can see an example of wild relatives of potatoes found in temperate forest and shrublands. These are wild potatoes that you can find in the forest and the arid lands in the area of Centro and Altiplano in Mexico. Next, please. And this is another example of one of the many examples of genetic diversity in only one type of crop. These crops, the squash and pumpkins, are just a small sample of one season in a relatively small area in Guanajuato and Querétaro. You can see that huge biodiversity and genetic diversity. Next, please. Well, so what have we done? We compiled information from different sources, such as academic publication, technical reports, studies, as well as suggestions from producers, chefs, etc. And we got an amount close to 100 food products for this region of Mexico, from which more are wild plant species. Please note that from that plant species, from the wild, 12 are quelites, that are plants with edible leaves. Yeah, I want to note that quelites is it's a big way to eat greens, and it's calculated that in Mexico exist more than 300 different species of quelites, and all the people in Mexico, maybe they know about 10 or less. So we are not losing them, but we are forgotten. They are forgotten foods. And then we also, in this slide, you can see how much wild fungi we find, how much animals. Even we have 2 minerals that are used for seasoning foods, and 8 different derived products from different plants, breads, beverages, and so on. Next, please. Once again, it's important to highlight diversity. In this case, the management practices, which are a result of such a different origins of food products, from wild that are gathering or catching to domesticated plants that are cultivated in modern agriculture. All these kind of management practices are found in this area of Mexico. Next, please. For this edition, we made a selection of not so well-known foods or foods with very local use or endangered, which also had as much documented information as possible. So you will find in this book a complete information for 17 fruits, for example, 7 grains, 4 flowers, 3 insects, and all the numbers you can see in the slide. In total, we have 53 products, and from these products, all are the majority are wild, and 7 domesticated, cultivated plants with very local varieties, and 9 semi-domesticated managed in family orchards. And finally, the next, please. You also can find one on my most beloved plant, agave, which I love this plant because it's used for everything. For all the plant is used for very different kind of food and beverage. The sap is used for all the fermented and distilled beverage. The leaves are used for cooking. The inflorescence stalk are cooked and roasted. Flowers also are edible, and also we can find important associated insects that we consider here like a gourmet, like the gusanos de maguey, which are really expensive in this case. Finally, I just want to finish telling you some reflection. It's about time that we give back the producers the great heritage of this diversity of foods. It's very sad to see how certain actions to promote and rescue traditional food have become an exclusive business for an elite of gourmet products. This is the case of escamoles, which are larvae you can find in arid region, or the gusanos de maguey larvae found. You can find these larvae of insects in agave, and they are very expensive. And this is not the goal of the Art of Taste. The goal is to return to rescue and to revalorate our resources. Thank you very much, and I have a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doctor, and thank you for emphasizing that many of these foods are not disappearing, but we are forgetting on how to recollect them, how to transform them, and how to eat them. So besides having a loss in genetics, we're also losing that millenary knowledge on how to provide ourselves of this millenary nutrition. So it's also important to know, to preserve and promote that millenary knowledge. Thank you, and I would like to present now the second main author of this second book, and the first one, which is the professor Paola Vera. She is a food anthropologist, so she was in charge of the anthropology, the history, the culture, the social importance of these products. Thank you, Paola, for being here from the Autonomous Popular University from the state of Puebla.
Thank you, Alfonso. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this presentation of this book. As I have mentioned before, a couple of years ago, we published The Arc of Taste in Mexico, this book, that presents a small sample of the richness of the country's food biodiversity, highlighting the risks that are leading to the erosion of the culinary heritage and the work that different local and international actors are doing to safeguard and rescue it. Because, as you know, Mexico has a unique culinary wealth, which we can all corroborate in the traditional knowledge of the different gastronomic regions of the country. The Faculty of Gastronomy at UPAEP participates in different interdisciplinary projects, promoting the different communities in the country and empowering local producers. In fact, this is a part of the mission of the UPAEP University, creating streams of thought and form leaders that transforms society. That is why we continue to work together with the University of Gastronomic Sciences of Polenzo, the Universidad Autónoma de Querétaro, here in Mexico, the Slow Food Network, and Terra Madre, in this interdisciplinary project and other projects. the cornerstone of this project, in my opinion, is to try to counter food insecurity arising from the indiscriminate use of fast food and the industrial production of food. It is known that to all that the catalog presented in this book, of course, although it has been the result of years of investigation and research, it is not enough given the immense amount of ingredients and products that we find throughout the country. This is precisely why we continue to work together in this Arc of Taste project, focusing now on each specific gastronomic area of Mexico. Next, please. So we are here presenting this new book today related to Central and Highlands Mexican regions as a result of this joint and multidisciplinary effort of our universities. For me, a fundamental motivation in my daily life has been to make a positive contribution to the social realities faced by the rural sectors of our country, not only professionally, but also personally. And as an academic, I truly believe that this book is quite important to the rescue of our gastronomic culture, as well as to the promotion of responsible and sustainable food consumption through the promotion of local production, of course. My main task in collaborating on this book was to capture the use that has been given to some of the ingredients embodied in traditional Central and Highlands Mexican cuisine over time. To do this, first I have to briefly explain what this cuisine consists of, which represents a culinary tradition that has been passed down from generation to generation by different civilizations that have inhabited the territory that today is recognized as Center and Highland of Mexico. To later mention some of very specific characteristics of this cuisine that have corn as their axis mundi. From there, I think you will be able to understand why the Mexican gastronomic culture refers to the defense of a way of life that involves a whole complex set of national identity and cultural symbolism. Beliefs, rituals, conceptions, and worldviews, identity and social cohesion, continuity and history. Knowing and understanding the importance and the ecological, economical, and sociocultural role of this heritage can represent a great resource for the future development of communities and the places where they live. I am convinced that the existence of projects such as the Arc of Taste is quite important because being a catalog of ingredients and food products in risk of disappearing, its main focus is the defense, protection, and promotion of the biodiversity of the cultural heritage of food in the country. This book also has stories and knowledge that people associated with certain food have, which is important to know and disclose to avoid the disaster that is causing the indiscriminate industrial production of fast food worldwide, reflected in the loss of the biodiversity, social destruction, and food insecurity. We really hope that the contribution that we are making through this book aim to spread the national food biodiversity of Mexico and rescue the country's gastronomic traditions, as well as promoting responsible and sustainable consumption by promoting the production of local food products. And of course, we hope that you enjoy reading this book as much as we enjoy writing it as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paola. It is very important for us, for people that promote gastronomy, to not forget that it's important to know the history, the culture, the social part that you're mentioning, and which is also promoting food sovereignty and food security. So now I would like to introduce another academic professor that's part of this is a new integration to this second edition of the Arc of Taste, which is the nutritional part of the products. So I would like to introduce Dana Morales. She is a food science from also the University, Autonomous University Popular from the state of Puebla. So thank you, Diana, for being here and for your help.
I was in mute, so I didn't interrupt anyone. So thank you very much for having me here. As you said, this is a new section for the book. This was a really, and I'm thankful because this was an invitation from Doctora Mónica, Doctora Malda, and Doctora Paola. So I'm very glad I'm here. As you said, this section is new, but it's very important because we have to consider the nutritional and overall the health benefits that eating our Mexican food has in our bodies. So to start this, I like to talk about first about nutritional status. So we have to take in account that the nutritional status from families, individuals, and communities is a result from these influences: the geographic area, the degree of urbanization, the access to goods, and mainly the access to food, and also the available services that will make some preparations of food available. And well, that's it. Please, the next slide. To talk about these influences, I like to put a focus on the urban and rural areas that our community in Mexico lives. So please, the next slide. Oh, okay, it's already there, sorry. So in the urban area, we are going to see that populations have less physical activity. Their physical activity is restricted, but also it is added with an overload. Diet is overloaded by energy, fats, and sugar. So this type of diet is not going to be nutritionally rich. It's going to be poor. As I said it before, because of the consumption of junk food and ultra-processed products. On the other extreme, the rural area is going to have is going to be characterized by a high prevalence of malnutrition and the deficiency in consumption of proteins and calories. This is happening in Mexico, the whole territory of Mexico, but also is not exclusive. This is combined in all of our country. For example, as Alfonso said about Cholula, we have urban and rural areas so close. It's a very good example about this diet that we live in a high-calorie diet based on rich foods, of foods rich in sugar and in fat, and leaving aside the consumption of fruits and vegetables. So please, the next one. The result for this diet, so charged by sugar and fat rich foods, it's going to be these alarming results that ENSANUD showed in 2018. So ENSANUD is a national health and nutrition survey that we have in Mexico, and they evaluate many aspects of health and nutrition, but specifically in the prevalence of overweight and obesity, we have a very big problem. In children from 5 to 19 years old, we have a combined prevalence of 38.4%. And in adults, the prevalence is 75.2%. So this, in adults, is 3/4 of our population is in a situation of obesity or overweight. This is something that also is a complex problem, because simultaneously we have a prevalence of malnutrition in children under 5 years old. As you can see, almost 1.5 million of our children, our Mexican children, are in a condition of malnutrition. Maybe in English is not, or we are not so related to this term, because malnutrition sometimes in Spanish is called obesidad, but in Mexico, in Spanish, malnutrition is similar to desnutrición. So this is going to be challenged by the food insecurity that almost half of our community is living in. All of this is stated by ENSANUD. It's not only what we see day by day, but it was stated in ENSANUD 2018. So right now we have almost half of adults that have no access to ingestion of animal proteins. All this, this panorama that I'm presenting is so we can have enough information to see why we have to rescue some of the traditional Mexican products. So please, the next slide. To put an endpoint to this part of the presentation, I would like to present this. Almost we all know about nutritional transition or living it, that we have a combined, also a combined condition. This is a coexisting condition, as the slide says. We have an integration of diet patterns from developed countries that leave aside the consumption of fruits and vegetables and whole grains and have refined grains, the consumption of food that is rich in food and sugar, as I stated before. And the other thing is an evident shift, displacement of the traditional diets that we have in our regions, and in this case in Centro and Altiplano of Mexico. So these gradual but permanent changes in diet are strongly associated with infectious diseases, malnutrition, and chronic and non-communicable chronic diseases. So please, the next slide. This book presents a compilation of foods that try to rescue the milpa diet, also called traditional Mexican diet. This traditional Mexican diet is mainly characterized by whole grains, mainly maize, also some legumes and vegetables such as corn, chili, beans, onion, tomatoes, amaranth in some cases, quelites that Dr. Amalda talked about them before, and other vegetables such as zucchini or green tomatoes. And the milpa diet also think about the meat that is part of the ecosystem of the milpa where maize is grown, such as poultry and pork. So in this Mexican diet, please the next slide. In this Mexican diet, the vegetables and fruits are a very important part of the diet. And this specific type of food are rich in nutrients, but also they are rich in some more small components of diet that are called phytochemicals. These phytochemicals can exert, as in the slide is stated, they can exert regulatory effect on physiological and biological process. These phytochemicals have bioactive compounds that could delay aging, delay morbid mortality, and also serve as a treatment of chronic diseases. So in this section, we try to put in a very easy way the main physical and biological activities that will help to improve health. So I'm very glad that you invited me. I hope you enjoy this book as much as we enjoy making it. And also, I invite you to take it into account when selecting foods to take home. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Diana. And I would like to stress the fact, what you mentioned, that the dieta milpa, for example, something in Mexico that people are not eating, and if we take into the nutritional account, for example, is what I'm having for breakfast right now, which is the grasshoppers. This is a nightmare for farmers, but in Mexico, they're a delicious treat. But if we take into account the nutritional fact, they're really important high nutrient content. They have good quality proteins. For example, the beef has around 55% of protein for 100 grams, and the grasshoppers have around 70. And if we take into account the ecological effects of each product, well, there's a big difference. So that's why we also need to know the importance of the nutritional facts of these foods. And thank you, Anna, for participating in this area. And last but not the least, for the people that participated in this second edition, I would like to present one of the young students, one of the 7 illustrators of this book. Her name is Amanda Jimenez. She's studying graphic design. So she's part of the team of the young people that illustrated this book, and which is the other also important part of promoting through good art and handcraft the different foods. So Amanda, thank you for your help and participating. Tell us how was the experience?
Thanks, Alfonso. Well, I'm here representing all the students who made illustrations for the book. I'm going to talk about illustrators and their work, just a little introduction. This is the second time that I've participated in this project, so I'm very happy to be here. I'll be talking to my classmates Daniel, Ana, Uriel, Elisa, Lauren, and Fernanda about their experiences. Despite the stress, they enjoy living this new experience. As well as Daniel and I had working on this. We have a good time. We are very grateful for the opportunity to present our work at this level. Next, please. The focus and importance of these illustrations is to show the reader the most important characteristics of the food. Based on the information that Slow Food shared with us and our research, we made it. In the case of my illustrations, I want to show through the composition the food as a protagonist, including its origin and its different presentations, as you can see in this slide. Next, please. Thanks to the selection process we had, I can promise an excellent quality in the illustrations. Our selection process consists of preparing the students into 3 groups. First, those who had already participated, like Daniel and I. Second, recommend students, and finally, volunteers. We made a series of illustrations that were reviewed by judges who select the participants. So I hope you can pay special attention to the illustrations when reading the book. That's all, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Amanda. Those are beautiful illustrations. I'm sure they took a lot of time and dedication. So thank you for your help. And I would like to introduce one person that did not participate as an author, but thanks to her, this project and the last book was made, which is Mónica Orduña. She's the head of the gastronomic school in the UPAEP, the Autonomous Popular University of the State of Puebla. So thanks to Mónica, since we knocked the door with her, she was really excited and she opened the door and her heart to slow food. So if it wasn't for Mónica, we wouldn't be here and these books would have not been elaborated. So thank you very much, Mónica, and we would like to hear a few words from you.
Thank you to you. For me, it's a pleasure to work with all of you. So, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I guess the written may change depending on where you are at this moment. It's my pleasure to conclude this presentation in the Terra Madre 2021. But first, I would love to thank all those who collaborated in this book. Thanks to each of the authors and illustrators who participate in this amazing project. This book represents the work of more than a year, and what a year I may add. Though the pandemic made it difficult for us, sometimes because of time or the connectivity. We really wanted to make our culture known, so we managed to have this work done. This book is part of Slow Food's Arc of Taste collection, and it shows the first of the 7 gastronomic regions of Mexico. I said the first one because in the previous book, the 7 gastronomic regions were compiled and the products were divided by region. However, Mexico has such a diversity of products that each region requires its own space, and that is the reason why this first book just focuses on the central and highlands regions. In this book, the readers will have the opportunity to know in greater depth the regions, their products, biodiversity, and heritage. As a matter of fact, in this book, we have added some nutritional properties of the products as well as some recipes that are made with products that are mentioned in this book. Such a great compilation requires a team effort. Therefore, I would like to thank each one of those who participate in the elaboration of this book. You have already met the authors, but there were also students who support us, and they are from Universidad Autónoma de Querétaro, Erika Paulsen, Silvia Patricia de Santiago, Braulio Zamora. From UPAEP, Daniela Olivares, Amanda Jiménez, Ana Yamel Montes, Daniel Romero, Elisa Méndez, Lorelei Morales, Uriel González, and Fernanda Fuentes. In addition, we also have the support of Aaron Figueroa as designer of the book from the New Gastronome, Food Communication Agents and Magazine of UNISC, and Elvia Guerrero from the Research Department of UPAEP, as well as the program directors Lourdes Silva, Master of Science, Director of the Faculty of Nutrition at UPAEP, Rebecca Mendez, PhD, Director of the Faculty of Graphic Design, and a special recognition with much affection to Alberto Castañeda, Master of Arts, who was our biggest supporter from the beginning of this book. And I know that from where you are, you continue enlightening us. Moreover, having you graphic design students as your representative in each illustration demonstrates the quality and humanism that you transmitted to them during your classes and your management of the graphic design career. In this sense, I'm sure that today from heaven, you will be very proud of your students for the effort they have made in each illustrations. Thanks a lot, Beto. It's important to mention that this book also reflects the collaborative work of institutions concerned with the common well-being. So, thank you to the authorities of this institution for trusting us in the elaboration of this project. And thanks to Carlo Petrini for inspiring us to transmit the consumption of good, clean, and fair products through the knowledge of the products that belong to the art of taste. Finally, I would like to share with you that this book will be available for purchase in July at Gandhi bookstores, at Slow Food Mexico, or at UPAEP. So, thank you to all of you who made this book a reality, and I hope you enjoy it as much as we did it. Thank you so much at all. Thank you.
Also, thank you, Monica. Thanks to you, this was done, and to all the Slow Food Network, because there's many volunteers from the Slow Food Network that have participated in this. And I would like to mention briefly if anyone has any questions. Si alguien tiene alguna pregunta, podemos rápidamente contestarles. We had people from Italy, from Nepal, from south of Mexico, Chiapas, from Bolivia. So it looks like there's many people around the world that are listening. And I would like to, if we don't have any questions, I would like to emphasize right now, closing, thanking everyone for this help, because this was all volunteer work. Everyone is doing this from the bottom of their heart to promote, safeguard local biodiversity, and strengthen food resiliency and food sovereignty. And I would like to remind people that this is just a catalog. The important thing is to study, to look for your local farmers, look for local biodiversity, and the next step that Slow Food proposed after having the Arc of Taste was the Slow Food Presidia. So after the catalog, go look for your local farmers, look for the people, and these are the projects that Slow Food is promoting. So first step is to look for your local foods, and the next step is to buy them. So I would like to promote the Arc Taste, the Presidia projects. In Mexico, we have around 13 Presidia. I would like to quickly show them to you because this is how we work directly with the producers. The Presidia, the Baluartes are the next step. And in Mexico, after having the catalog list of the Arc of Taste, well, you can see that we have vanilla from an indigenous community that is pollinized by the hummingbird. We have different varieties of local cacao, two stingless bees. I went to culinary school and a chef never told me that we had stingless bees in Mexico until I went into Slow Food. So it is very important to first know your local biodiversity, but then go search for your farmers, for your local producers, and support them. And if you can do a little bit more, introduce them to your friends, introduce them to your colleagues, to local universities, so that they can be helped in different ways, which is how we do in Slow Food. So let me see, we have, well, they're asking about the cost, how they can get the book. I think we can let them know in our social networks after, because we're still working on that. The second book is going to be more digital than published. So thank you everyone for the job, for participating, and everyone for listening. And let's promote Slow Food. And here we do it with a chapulín or a cricket. Thank you very much. Have a good day and support your local food biodiversity. Thank you.